Hey everybody! Well, today we're going to take a look at a very cool and unique piece. Now this will probably only appeal to a small percentage of my viewers on this channel, but for those of you who have been watching for a while, you all know that I am a huge I Dream of Jeannie fan. The classic TV show I Dream of Jeannie, one of my favorite shows of all time, and this is a piece. It's a little piece of one of the original bottles from the show. So let me show you what it looks like. It's in this nice jewel box right here. And there it is right there. As you can see, it's just a tiny little piece of it. You can see the purple paint. You can see the gold decorations that it had on it. So I want to talk about this piece, the history of it, and why it's just a small piece of it, because I'm sure you're wondering, you know, why that is and how I acquired it. Now, I've done several videos about I Dream of Jeannie. I did a 5-part series on all the bloopers and goof-ups and mistakes on the show. For those of you who have seen it, I hope you've enjoyed it because I worked really hard on those videos. I also did a video comparing the Jeannie bottles from the beginning of the season. I talk about the history of the bottle and some interesting facts that went on during the show. So for those of you who may not know, the bottle from I Dream of Jeannie was actually a Jim Beam whiskey decanter. It was a special Christmas decanter that was released back in 1964. In fact, on the bottom here it even has the date and all that stuff from the bottles, and they all have basically the same serial number, but it'll show different dates, I think. But anyway, Robert Purcell, was the art director on the show, as I mentioned, and he, I think he's the one that was in a liquor store one day, happened to see the Jim Beam bottle, thought, hey, this is a really cool, unusual looking bottle, and it's like, maybe we can use this for the show. And then he bought a bunch of them and started working his magic, creating this beautiful, beautiful pattern on the Jeannie bottle. He hand painted all of them. It's believed that 6 or 7 of them were made for the show, and of those 6 or 7, only 4 can be accounted for. So Barbara Eden herself has one. She still has it today, and she's promised it to go to the Smithsonian. And then a private collector, I believe, owns another one. Robert Purcell kept one, and that's where this piece comes from. This comes from the Robert Purcell bottle. And then one of them, unfortunately, was smashed in the episode. The very last episode of Jeannie was called Hurricane Jeannie, and they actually smashed a bottle in that episode, which was really sad to see, and that bottle was unfortunately thrown away. But of course, they would have, because they wouldn't have known the value of such a piece, you know, 50 years later. So anyway, this piece is really cool. Now, the story behind Robert Purcell's bottle is that in 1994, there was an earthquake in California, and unfortunately, during that earthquake, Robert Purcell's bottle got smashed. And while some of it still kind of stayed whole, a lot of pieces came off, and that's where this comes from. It comes from the smashed Robert Purcell bottle. This little piece here comes from somewhere in this area, like this section of the bottle. You can tell by the gold designs, and there's a tiny little pink piece that you can see from one of these dots. And that's where it comes from. I'll show you pictures of the bottle. So I think Robert Purcell's passed away now, but he did manage to keep all the pieces in a box. And then Robert Purcell's son managed to glue as much of the bottle as he could back together, and I'll show you what it looks like all glued together. But there's some sections of it that, of course, you know, the pieces were probably too small to glue in there. But there's one section down here that's got this big hole, and that's where this piece comes from. It was a piece that probably went somewhere in the middle of the hole, and it didn't have an edge to glue it to. And so far he's only sold 2 of these little pieces from that bottle, but it's really cool that he was selling some. And it also comes from a letter, comes with the letter from Robert Purcell's son talking about that piece. I'll show you that as well. But let me show you some pictures of what the bottle looked like, and we can go more into discussion about what happened with that. So this is a picture of Robert Purcell, and it looks like he may have brought his bottle to a show or a convention or something. But here you can see he's here with that bottle. So that bottle, the piece that I have, comes from this actual bottle that you see here. Now here's the bottle all glued together. It's so sad to see it in pieces like this, but you can see that Robert Purcell's son really tried to do his best. It looks like there was some chunks that were left over that were pretty large, like this. Didn't look like it got damaged, this big piece here. So it's pretty good that he managed to get this much of it together as he did. He probably had to look really closely at all the different patterns, but you can see there's some sections in here that were probably lost forever. But this is that big hole that I was talking about. That's where that piece that I have comes from. So it's a pretty sizable chunk right here, and that piece probably goes somewhere in the middle where it didn't have an edge, like I mentioned, for it to glue onto. It's like a big jigsaw puzzle. So I don't know how many of these pieces he managed to salvage or save. but at least, you know, he managed to save some of them. And it's nice that he's at least sharing it with some Jeannie bottle fans, but, oh boy, that's so sad to see that. Now, it's believed that Robert Purcell's bottle is the most photographed bottle of the entire series. It was used the most in the show. And of course, don't forget that they also would use stock footage over and over from episodes. But the reason that Robert Purcell's bottle was so distinctive is because it's known as the double pink Tic Tac bottle, the double pink Tic Tac. And that refers to these right here. So they're kind of like Tic Tac shaped, like the candy. Now, I think there's 16 of these. I'll have to count on my replica bottle that I showed you earlier. But if there was 16, there would be an even amount of these. So the pattern is supposed to go turquoise, pink like that and work its way all around. But for some reason, Robert Purcell put two pink ones together. And I think I read somewhere that this bottle had an uneven amount of these indentations up here, which is unusual because I would think that all the bottles came from the same mold. So why would this one have a different thing? I don't know if Robert Purcell just did it for something for himself or something. I'm not really sure what the story is. I would love to know. And if any of you know, please chime in the comments, because I'd love to know more information about why he painted this bottle this way. But because that it has that distinctive double pink Tic Tac, you can see it in the show. I'll have to go back and watch some episodes and see if I can notice it. So the previous picture I showed you, I think that was a replica bottle, but this is a picture of the actual bottle. This is Robert Purcell's actual bottle. Now this is the other side because the hole is over here on this side. So you can see what the other side looks like here. So you can see how Robert Purcell's son, you know, really tried to glue as much of this together. I think he did a pretty good job considering what was left of this bottle. Now this picture, unfortunately, is not very clear, but if you look right here, let me see if I can zoom in on that. You can kind of see, I'm sorry that that's not a very clear picture, and it may not show up very good on my camera, but there's two pink colors right here, because you can see this one here is turquoise, and this one here is turquoise. And so those are the double pink Tic Tacs right there. So that is definitely from his bottle, or I mean, this is obviously his bottle. So, you know, that's how you can kind of tell. But it's interesting how his particular bottle had that coloring. I don't think any others had that, as far as we know. And here's the letter from Robert Purcell's son, Stephen Purcell. So it says, Roy, my father, Robert Purcell, was the art director on the original TV series I Dream of Jeannie. He designed the colored Jeannie bottle. He acquired one of the original bottles when the show ended. My father's hobby was woodworking, and he made a special cabinet that he proudly displayed the bottle in. Unfortunately, the bottle broke in the 1994 Northridge earthquake. He was as shattered as the bottle was after the earthquake. He kept the bottle and most of the broken pieces in a shoebox. Years later, I took the bottle and started to piece it back together. This process took over a month. There were some pieces that could not be placed back into the bottle. I guarantee that this is an original piece from my dad's bottle. I hope you enjoyed this piece of I Dream of Jeannie history. Stephen Robert Purcell. And there is his handwritten signature. So it's very cool. You can't get better provenance than that. Right, now let's take a closer look at this piece. Now it's a very small piece. I wish I had a bigger one, but you know, hey, I'm just grateful to have this. This is like having one of the sequins off one of the original ruby slippers from Wizard of Oz. I mean, for me at least, because I love this show so much. And so here you can see the purple color. Now, I'm not sure the purple looks the same on camera as it does in person, but I'm not sure if the purple that Robert Purcell used was a custom paint or if it's just something he had. Also, you can see the gold patterns right in here and also right in here for the bottom part. What's also interesting is on the very corner right here, see that? There's a little pink dot. See that on the very corner? That's one of the little dots that have the pattern on the bottom part of the bottle. This is also cool. You can see there's like this little spine right here, and that's because on the pattern on that bottom part of the bottle, this part starts to indent right here, this part starts to indent over here, and then you got the higher section right here, and that's the way the bottle was molded. So on the replica bottle that I have here, you can see what I'm talking about. Here's where it indents, where these patterns are. It actually indents into that's the way the bottle was molded. The next one is indented over here, and here's that high spot. So you can tell that that's where that came from on Robert Purcell's bottle. Here's the back of it. You can see that greenish glass that they used on all those Jim Beam bottles. It's very cool. Now, I will say that I'm not really a big fan of this being mounted as a pendant. I mean, I guess it's kind of a cool way to present it if somebody really wanted to wear this on their neck. But for me personally, I don't know. I would have preferred to have the piece just loose. And then maybe I can frame it myself, you know, put it in a frame or something, have it custom framed. But then again, I'd be so worried about having the frame shop lose this piece because it's so small. What else is interesting is you can kind of see right in here. See these little, they almost look silver. I looked at this with a jeweler's loupe because I really wanted to get some close detail on it. And it's either silver or it's gray, but that is the primer. They put either a silver or a gray primer on there for the paint to stick to the glass, which they would have had to do. But you can see a little bit of the primer on there. Another reason I'm not sure I like having this mounted as a necklace or a pendant is because when they put these prongs on here, it tends to scratch a little bit of the paint off of these pieces. So, you know, that's not good. You want as much of the paint still left on there as possible. But oh man, what a cool piece. There we go, an authentic, actual piece of one of the original Jeannie bottles. I want to thank Robert Purcell's son for allowing me to get one of those. I bought it from an auction, and they'll show up on eBay occasionally. That's where I got it. The provenance behind it is 100%. He's only sold 2 of those so far, and I don't know how many more he's got. But it's an honor to have that because Jeannie is my all-time favorite show, and I just absolutely love it. Also, I should mention this bottle is a replica, but it was painted, and I've mentioned this before, it's painted by a gentleman named Brian Fetzer, F-E-T-Z-E-R, and I think he's still making these, and I think you can find him on Facebook. He used to have a website, but I don't know if he still does. He does an absolutely beautiful, beautiful job painting these, and I loved it so much I bought 2. He uses authentic Jim Beam bottles. These are not those replica resin ones or ones that are cast in some kind of a plaster or something where it shrinks. These are the real deal. He uses real Jim Beam bottles, and trust me, there's some good ones out there and there's some bad ones out there, but he definitely does some fantastic, excellent work. I cannot recommend him higher than I possibly can, but this is beautiful work. So check him out if you want to get one of these. All right, well, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, especially all of you who are I Dream of Jeannie fans. I hope you enjoyed seeing that piece because it's really cool. All right, well, I'll see you on the next video. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. I'd very much appreciate it, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks so much, and have a good one.